Good morning, students. In this session, we will prove that how Coulomb's law agrees with the Newton's third law of motion, whether Coulomb's law obeys the Newton's third law of motion or not. That we will prove here. Okay. For that, let us consider 2-point charges Q1 and Q2 located at 2 points in vacuum. In the figure, you can observe here charge Q1 and Q2. Let R1 and R2 be the position vectors. Okay, position vectors of charge Q1 and Q2 respectively with reference to the origin. Okay, these R1 and R2, these two are the position vectors of the charge Q1 and Q2. What do we mean by position vectors? Position vectors are nothing but the vectors which we will use to locate the charges in this 3-dimensional coordinate system. ಅಂದರೆ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ನ ಯಾಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದರೆ ಅದರ ಹೆಸರೇ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ Q1 ಮತ್ತು Q2 ಚಾರ್ಜು ಈ 3-ಡೈಮೆನ್ಷನಲ್ ಕೋಆರ್ಡಿನೇಟ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಲೊಕೇಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾವೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ R1 ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರು Q1 ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ R2 ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ವೆಕ್ಟರು Q2 ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ದಿ ವೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ವಿಲ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ಟು ಡಿನೋಟ್ ದಿ position of the given charge. We will use position vectors. Clear? Now from triangle law of vector addition, we already have studied about the vector addition and all. From the triangle of vector addition, we can write that vector R21 is equal to vector R2 minus vector R1. Vector R21 is this one. Okay, vector R21 is equal to this vector R2 minus this vector R1. And similarly, if vector R21 is equal to R2 minus R1, then vector R12 is equal to R1 minus R2. That we can write. Now let us move ahead. From the Coulomb's law, force exerted on Q2 by Q1 is given by. Okay. From the Coulomb's law, the force exerted on Q2 by Q1. Okay. ಚಾರ್ಜ್ Q2 ಮೇಲೆ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ Q1 ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದು ಅಂದರೆ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ F21. ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಟೆಡ್ ಆನ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ Q2 by Q1. That can be calculated by Coulomb's law. So which is F21 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught and product of both the charges Q1 and Q2 by square of the distance between them, which is R12 square. And this is multiplied by R21 cap, unit vector. What do you mean by this unit vector? This unit vector is used to represent the direction of this force F21. This force F21 is having the direction of cap R cap 21. Okay, so this is, you can call it as equation 1. Now force exerted on charge Q1 by Q2, that we can call it as force F12. Force F2 ಕೂಡ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ Q2 ಕೂಡ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ Q1 ಮೇಲೆ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ F12. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಅಗೇನ್ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ Coulomb's law. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught product of these two charges Q1 Q2 and square of the distance between them, which is R12 square, which is multiplied by R21 cap. R21 cap is nothing but it is a unit vector which is in the direction of this force F21. Clear? Now we can observe this R12 cap can be written as R12 cap can be written as minus of R21 cap, because these R12 cap and R21 cap both are having same magnitude but both are having different direction. ಎರಡು ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಇದಾವೆ ಬಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಕ್ಯಾಪ್ R12 ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಆಸ್ ಮೈನಸ್ ಆಫ್ R21. ಓಕೆ, ಇದರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ರಿಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಮೈನಸ್ ಸೈನ್. ನಾವು ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಕಂಪೇರ್ ಇಕ್ವೇಷನ್ 1 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಕ್ವೇಷನ್ 2 ಈಸಿಲಿ. ಸೊ ಬೈ ಆನ್ ಕಂಪೇರಿಂಗ್ equation 1 and equation 2, you can observe all the terms are same in both the equation except this R21 and R12. Clear? You can observe in this F21 and F12, here it is R21 is positive, here R21 is negative. So that we can easily say that the force F21 is equal to minus of force F12. So what is the meaning of this equation is the force exerted by charge q1 on charge q2 is equal to the force exerted by charge q2 on charge q1. ಎರಡು ಫೋರ್ಸು, ಎರಡು ಚಾರ್ಜು ಒಂದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಫೋರ್ಸು ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಬಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ಆಪೋಸಿಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್. ಸೊ ನೌ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಈಸಿಲಿ ಸೇ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ the forces exerted by two charges on each other are equal and opposite. Therefore, now let us try to understand the difference between charge and mass. So among that, first one, the charge may be positive or negative, whereas mass is always positive. Okay, you can never have a negative mass, whereas you can always have positive or negative charge. Okay, the next one, charge does not vary with the velocity. Charge will never vary with the velocity. As velocity increases and charge will not vary, it will always be constant with the velocity, whereas mass increases with the velocity. How a mass can increase with velocity? This can be proved using Einstein's relativity theory, which is E equal to mc square. The equation says that as the velocity or speed of a body approaches to speed of a light, then its energy increases. When the energy of a given body or mass increases, then its mass also increases. Clear? So that is what the Einstein's relativity theory says. As velocity increases, then the mass of a body also increases. Then third one, charge is conserved, whereas mass is not conserved, because mass can be converted into energy, whereas energy also can be converted into mass. That is why mass is not conserved, whereas charge is conserved. Conserved means you can never destroy or create a charge. You can just transfer charge from one body to another body. So that is what the conservation says. So that is why charge is conserved, whereas mass is not conserved. The next one, charge is quantized, whereas mass is not considered to be quantized. What do you mean by quantized? Quantized means nothing but it is available only in particular values. Okay, the charge can be available in only discrete values, in particular values. You can always say that the smallest entity of a charge as E. Clear? The smallest entity or smallest value of a charge in this universe is E, which is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Whereas mass can occur in any arbitrary values. There can no fixed value for mass. It can occur in any values. Whereas charge can occur in only fixed values or discrete values, which is E or which is a multiple of E. ಚಾರ್ಜು ಇ ಆದರೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಅದರ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಇ ಆದರೂ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಆರ್ ನೆಟ್ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಈಕ್ವಲ್ ಟು ಇ, ಆರ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಇ or integral multiple of E. So that is the meaning of quantized. So charge is quantized, whereas mass is not quantized. Next one, it plays an important role in electricity. Charge plays an important role in electricity because the charge particle produces electricity, whereas the mass plays an important role in gravitation. Then sixth one, charge does not exist without mass. Charge does not exist without mass, whereas mass can exist without charge. You can easily say this, charge mass illದೆ charge ಇರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, but mass can always occur without a charge. The next one, in SI system it is a derived physical quantity. Charge is or coulomb is a derived physical quantity, whereas mass is a fundamental physical quantity. Charge is a derived physical quantity, whereas mass is a fundamental physical quantity. Now SI unit of a charge is coulomb, whereas SI unit of mass is kg. Clear? Then move to next one. Now we will understand the difference between Coulomb force and gravitational force. Coulomb force, it depends on the magnitude of charges. We always know that. Okay, Coulomb's force is nothing but it is related to charges. That is why the Coulomb force depends on the magnitude of charges, whereas gravitational force depends on the magnitude of masses. Clear? It is a magnitude of charges, Coulomb force. Gravitational force is the magnitude of masses. Then Coulomb force may be attractive or repulsive. Coulomb force may be attractive or repulsive, whereas gravitational force is always attractive. Clear? The next one, net force may be zero. The net electric force or Coulomb force may be zero, whereas gravitational force can never be zero. Why? Because you can have, or we can have, positive or negative or attractive or repulsive Coulomb force. That is why the net force can be zero, whereas gravitational force is always attractive, no? So that is why it can never be zero. Now, Coulomb force depends on the nature of the medium between the charges. Coulomb force depends on the nature of the medium between the charges, whereas it is independent of the medium between the charges. Now next one, Coulomb force is much stronger than gravitational force. It is much stronger than gravitational force, whereas it is the weakest force available in the nature. Which one? Gravitational force is the weakest force in nature. Now we will try to find out the meaning of superposition principle of forces, and we will apply this superposition principle of forces to find the force on a point charge due to system of n point charges. Okay, first let us understand what is the meaning of superposition principle of forces. The superposition principle of forces says that the resultant force on any charge due to a number of charges is the vector sum of all the forces due to all other charges. Okay, the meaning of the statement is that, see, you can observe the figure here. Let us consider a point charge q1. Okay, and around this point charge q1 there are two more charges, which is q2 and q3. Now if you want to find out the net force or resultant force which is acting on this point q1 due to the point charges q2 and q3, okay, the net force due to q2 and q3 on charge q1 is equal to the vector sum of these two forces on the charge q1. Okay, overall meaning is a superposition principle though. ಓಕೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂರು ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ ಇದ್ದಾವೆ, q1, q2 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ q3. ನಾವು ಈಗ ನಾವೇನು ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಚಾರ್ಜ್ q1 ಮೇಲೆ q2 ಮತ್ತು q3 ಎಷ್ಟು ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಅಂತ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಸೊ q2 ಮೇಲೆ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಫೋರ್ಸು q1 ಮೇಲೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರುವಂಥ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಎಷ್ಟಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ q2 ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ q3 ಇವೆರಡೂ ಚಾರ್ಜು ಎಷ್ಟು ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಅದೆರಡರ ಸಮೇಷನ್ನು q1 ಮೇಲೆ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಥಿಂಗ್ ಬಟ್ ದಿ ಸೂಪರ್ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್. ಸೊ ಹೌ ಟು ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ದಿ ಟೋಟಲ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ವಿಚ್ ಈಸ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ charge particle q1 is the vector sum of force q2 and force q3. So this is what the superposition principle. Now to prove that, let us consider a system of n point charges q1, q2 and q3 up to n. So in this figure, just for our consideration, for simplicity, I have just considered 2 point charges around the point charge q1. Total we have 3 point charges q1, q2 and q3. Clear? Now the force on q1 due to q2. The force on q1, charge particle q1 due to the charge particle q2 is nothing but this much, which is the electrostatic force between the force charge q1 and charge q2, which is equal to F12. The force acting on charge particle q1 due to charge particle q2, which is equal to F12 is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, then product of these two charges q1 and q2 by square of the distance between them r12, let it be, then multiplied by the unit vector r12. This unit vector r12 represents the direction of the force which is along the F12. Clear? That is what this unit vector says. Then similarly, the force on q1 due to q3, this is force on q1 due to q2. Now this is force on q1 due to this charge particle q3, then that is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught product of these two charge particle q1 and q3 and divided by square of the distance between them, which is r13 square multiplied by unit vector r13. This r13 is nothing but unit vector which says or which represents the direction of the force F13. Clear? Now similarly, if you write this similar equation for nth charge, if there are n number of charge particle around this q1, then similarly for all the charge particle we can write like this: f1 2, f1 3, f1 4, f1 5, f1 6 up to f1 n. Whatever the number of the particles may be, you can consider. So like that, for nth particle f1n equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q1 into qn by r1n square multiplied by unit vector. So similarly we can write it for many number of charge particles around the charge particle q1. Now from the superposition principle ಏನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ resultant force on the charge q1 which is vector F is equal to total force acting on the charge particle q1 is equal to force due to q2, force due to q3, force due to q4, like that. But in this diagram I have considered only two charge particles, which is q2 and q3. Now what I need to calculate is the total force acting on the charge particle q1 is equal to the force acting on charge particle q1 by q2 and also force acting by the charge particle q3 on q1. So if you add these two, then total net force acting on charge particle q1 due to the other two particles q1 and q3, which is equal to this much. Okay, so like that. So if you simplify this equation, if you put it in the summation form, and it becomes like this. So this equation is nothing but what this equation says, that this electrostatic force agrees with the superposition principle.